Last week in Vegas, the UFC made their debut on Paramount Plus. With UFC 324, we saw Justin Gaethje become a two-time interim lightweight champion of the world when he defeated Paddy Pimblett in the main event 48-47 and 49-46 twice. A unanimous decision victory for the highlight. And although Gaethje landed a severe amount of damage on Paddy. Paddy Pimblett put up a fight. He showed that Scousers really don't get knocked out. He showed the heart of a champion, and he did come up short. But overall, I thought it was a good fight. It was certainly an exciting fight. Was it the most technical fight in the world? No. But I think before this fight, when you're looking at it, it wasn't supposed to be the most technical fight. Justin Gaethje is always a wild fighter. He always gets into brawls when he's in the octagon, and Paddy Pimblett is an unorthodox fighter. He moves around, kind of awkwardly, and he isn't the most traditional striker, and he normally likes to get things to the ground, but he didn't land a takedown on Gaethje. Gaethje landed 3 takedowns in this one. And now it seems like we're going to see Justin Gaethje take on Ilia Topuria if and hopefully when the reigning lightweight champion Ilia Topuria returns, hopefully in the spring, summertime, which he has said in the past he will. Although Gaethje is now a two-time interim champion, he's won 3 out of 4. He's on a great streak. I wouldn't say Gaethje versus Topuria is the most exciting fight to get fans to tune in, but that's the fight that we're going to be left with. Moving on down the card, we saw Sean O'Malley get back in the win column. Sugar beat Song Yadong via unanimous decision, 29-28 all the way around. And Sugar, after losing 2 title fights in a row, he got back in the swing of things. He got back in the win column, like I said. He outlanded Song by 12 significant strikes in this one. And although it wasn't the most exciting fight, it wasn't a highlight Sean knockout as we've seen in the past, it still was a good victory against a solid opponent in Song Yadong, and it was a great step for Sean to work his way to a title shot. And late in this fight, we saw Sean land some brutal strikes on Song Yadong, really hurt him in this one, and that is why I think Merab Dvalishvili does deserve a title shot. No doubt about the next time he's in the octagon. But the biggest fight in this division, without a question, is Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley 2. After we saw Sean O'Malley beat Petr Yan a couple years back, that one in a 5-round fight would just be spectacular. That is one of the fights I'm even eyeing for the White House card in June. We'll see if that comes to fruition. We saw Waldo Cortez Acosta beat Derek Lewis via TKO in the second round, and this fight was one-way traffic from the beginning. Waldo, 44 significant strikes. Derek Lewis only landed 8, and it seems like he slipped to get to the ground in the second round, and then Waldo just unloaded a ton of ground and pound strikes, putting this fight away. And now he has won 3 straight fights. He has won 8 of his last 9, and he is a big player at heavyweight. And although he's not going to get the next title shot because we're likely and hopefully going to see Tom versus Cyril Gane again, Waldo Cortez Acosta is a legit contender, and I would like to. He called out Curtis Blades. I would like to see that fight happen next. And if he could win that one, he without a doubt is next for a title. We saw Natalia Silva beat Rose Namajunas in, to me, a little bit of a controversial victory. I thought Rose might have edged that one out. It wasn't the most exciting of action. John Silva beat Arnold Allen to open up the main card, 29-28 and 30-27 on one car or on one judge's scorecard. John Silva landed 4 takedowns, and this one was a big difference maker, and he just was the more aggressive fighter in this one. He outlanded Arnold Allen by nearly 18 strikes, and it seemed like ring rust was a little bit of a problem for Arnold Allen, as he was outside of action for over a year before he took this one. Some other key victories on the prelims. Umar Nurmagomedov beat Davison Figueiredo. Atiba Gutier beat Andrei Pulayev. And Nikita Krylov with a fantastic third round knockout over Bukowskis. Alex Perez with a big first round knockout over Charles Johnson. So some big results. And I thought the highlight of the night, maybe even were the early prelims and the prelims. The main card was a solid main card. Was it the best ever? No. But like I said, it was capped off with a tremendous main event, one that will not be forgotten anytime soon in the near future. But moving on, let's get into UFC 325. Alexander the Great Volkanovski returns to defend his title and fight Diego Lopez for the second straight time after he beat him back in April. He beat him by a dominant unanimous decision back at UFC 314 in April. And now, after Lopez is coming off of a knockout win over John Silva, he returns, looks to even the odds against Volk. But Volk is still that guy. He proved back in April he's still the best featherweight in the world, and he's the favorite in this one at minus 148. Diego Lopez is plus 124. I'm taking Alexander Volkanovski to do just what he did back in April, but to do it in even a more dominant fashion this time around. Volk has had success facing guys the second and even third time like he did against Max Holloway, and although he's 7-3 in title fights, which is still tremendous, he has only one loss in those title fights at featherweight. That was to Ilia Topuria. I just don't think Diego Lopez is on that level. I think Volk, and the stats back it up, is just a striker on a different stratosphere than Diego Lopez. When he's aggressive, when he puts out a high output and pressures his opponent, they likely and normally cannot stand with him. That's why I'm taking the great to once again prove that he not only is still the best featherweight today, but possibly the greatest featherweight champion in UFC history, as if he would win this fight, he would tie Jose Aldo with 8 UFC featherweight title wins, so that should be incredible. Dan Hooker, the Hangman, returns just 2 short months after losing to Armin Sarukian against Benoit Saint Denis, a guy who had one of the best 2025s in the UFC. He is coming off of 2 fantastic victories over Houfi and Beneil Dariush. He knocked out Dariush in the first round back in November. He's also returning just a couple short months later. And this fight has banger, fight of the night written all over it. When these guys bring the action, it is just unlike anything else. And Dan Hooker, off of a loss, should come back hungry and just a different version of himself than we previously saw. Benoit Saint Denis is the favorite in this one at minus 355. Dan Hooker's plus 280, the underdog in this contest. And although Dan Hooker is such a great fighter, he's better than his record shows, and he's better than he showed against Armin Sarukian. I'm gonna have to lean Benoit Saint Denis. As much as I love Hooker, I just think Benoit Saint Denis has more ways to win this fight, as he's such a talented finisher on the ground, on the feet. I got BSD. Rafael Fiziev taking on Houfi, who I previously mentioned, who previously lost to BSD. He is coming off that loss, and that was Houfi's first loss since 2019. And Houfi, although he's previously spent a ton of time training with the Fighting Nerds, he spent this past camp with the team over at City Kickboxing, led by Eugene Behrman, with the likes of Israel Adesanya, Dan Hooker, and others on this card. And he is facing Fiziev, who is another talented striker. But I think Houfi's athleticism, his 4-inch reach advantage, his 3-inch height advantage is the difference in this one. I think if he can move around the octagon, if he could make it hard for Fiziev to close that distance by using his elite striking, I think he can win this fight. And not only win this fight, I think he has a chance to finish this fight, because that's all he really knows. He has 12 victories in his MMA career, 11 come by knockout, which is just a sight to be seen. It's just unbelievable. And that's why Houfi is minus 125. And and you have Fiziev who's plus 105, the underdog. I'm taking Hoofy in this one. The other two fights on this main card, the second fight of this main card, Tai Tuivasa, who's lost five straight, returns back to Australia after over a year off. Tai Tuivasa, it's not even he's coming off a ton of losses. He hasn't fought since August of 2024. So it's been a long time since Bam Bam's been in there, and I think it won't serve many favors that he's facing a highly skilled 26-year-old Taliesin Teixeira, who's 8-1 with 8 finishes, all coming in the first round. He's coming off of a loss via knockout to Derek Lewis back in July. But I think Teixeira is going to win this fight. I think he can finish Tuivasa. He has a 5-inch height advantage, and he has an 8-inch larger standing reach. That's the difference in this one. Tai Tuivasa, being the smaller guy against the more athletic striker in Teixeira, is not going to serve him any favors. I got Teixeira winning this one. Moving on down to the first fight of the night, it's Quentin Salkield taking on Jamie Mullarkey, and Salkield is one of the hottest prospects right now in the UFC. He's 10-1 with 7 finishes, and he has won 10 straight fights as he lost his MMA debut back in 2021. But in the UFC, he's 3-0 with 2 first-round knockouts. He's coming off a first-round knockout back in October of 2025 against Nasrat Haqparast, which was just fantastic. The 26-year-old is just poised for more greatness, and I think he's going to do just that. He's the largest favorite on this card. He's minus 1,000 on the money line, and that makes it hard to back him on that number, but I think he gets the win. I think he's going to knock out Jamie Mullarkey in this one. Overall, I think UFC 325 has a ton of potential. Will it live up to UFC 325? Comment down below if you think it will or if it won't. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Ryan Wall, and I'll see you next time.